thank you all very much. This is Kevin Patterson. I'm Cicerone and beer judge here at the Beer Trappe. And I'm going to run down some beers for you that your buddy is interested in picking up. So let's just get started with the first in front of me. This is Le Chouffe, low gnome on the front. That's how you know what they do. They're not a Trappist monastery, but they are a secular brewery that makes beers in those Trappist monastery styles. This is a strong golden ale, which means it's going to be fruity, spicy, kind of a light fruit, light spice profile. Deceptively smooth, 8.5% alcohol. Sneak up on you fast. Here we have that one's big brother. This is Le Chouffe. It's a darker version of the Le Chouffe, and it's dark fruit, dark spice, again, about 8.5% alcohol. Switching gears here, we got a little bit of a milder beer. This is Hitachino White Ale from Japan, but it's a Belgian-style wit beer. In other words, it's going to be a Belgian wheat. So it's going to be kind of light, fruity, light, spicy, almost kind of winey and almost cidery. Think of this one as almost like a Blue Moon, but the best version of a Blue Moon that you've ever had. So you think of that way. Hoegaarden, another comparable to that one. We have Hackershore, the Oktoberfest. This is more of a traditional Oktoberfest. It's going to be a little bit darker in color, about 6.2% alcohol. Very smooth, not very bitter at all. Almost caramel, honey, and nutty tones to that. Slightly toasty. Very good for this time of year. It's Oktoberfest season. Weizenfeiner Vitas. This is kind of a strange beer because it's going to be a lighter color, but it's a light wheat that's also on the strong side. Goes about 7% alcohol. Cidery, almost winey, has mead-like qualities to it I like, which is a honey wine. So I like this one particularly well. Most of your Weizen boxes want to be on the darker side. This is actually a blonde version. Here we have a cider. This is Cider Boys Grand Mimosa. As it suggests, there's peach flavors in there, orange flavors to mimic those kind of flavors of mimosa. We'll know it's basically an apple cider, not a beer. It's just apples. So basically a British pale ale, London Pride. A little bit more hop forward, probably the most hop forward beer that I see here today. It's got kind of that British hoppiness, which is kind of this broad bitterness on the tongue, not the sharp things you get out of American IPAs. Lightly floral, kind of fruity from the esters. It's going to have a big malt component to it, which is going to make it taste a little more caramel-like, along with the hop balance. Left hand milk stout. This is an English version of a milk stout that was made in America. It is a natural infused, so it's got the different gases working to make it creamy, kind of like a Guinness. It's a little bit smoother, it's a little bit silkier, a little bit creamier because it does have lactose in it. So if you're opposed to lactose, you may want to use caution on this guy. Bruzot. This is a very good beer. It's almost like a Left Blonde. If you guys are familiar with Left Blonde, this is kind of like that. But it's a little drier, a little crisper, not quite as sweet. It does have some backbone of like honey, honeysuckle, but it's got some fruity, spicy interplay like some of the earlier Belgian beers did. The fruit profile is going to be kind of like lemon, pear, apple, and then the spices is going to be almost like white pepper, coriander, clove. Rubaeus by Founders, American brewery, but they're brewing a Belgian-style blonde. It's a little bit on the stronger side, but they lace this one with raspberry to the point where you almost can't taste the Belgian beer underneath. Very strong raspberry component. If you like fruit beers, it's very good. Pumpkin ale, it's also pumpkin ale season. Here we go. So you have Shipyard Pumpkin Ale. It's basically a pale ale based beer, but they've really backed off those hops a lot and replaced that with these spices. There's pumpkin pie spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, ginger to kind of give you that character. But don't worry, it's still a very drinkable, very easygoing beer. The spice is not very strong. We're not talking about a Yankee Candle kind of character at all. Here we have Edelstoff. This is by Augustiner, my favorite Pilsner from Germany. I'll probably try about 300 different pilsners. This one is my favorite. Crisp, clean, a little bit more bitter forward, but nothing too over the top. I think this is kind of like a Bitburger, Spaten, or Paulaner type of premium pilsner. A little bit more assorted than that, we have the Czech bar, sometimes called boot bar. This is your Czech Pilsner, which kind of predates the German stuff a little bit. So Czech bar, along with other Bohemian Pilsners and Czech Pilsners, are going to be a little bit more fuller, a little bit more rounder, not so bitter like a Pilsner, like German Pilsner would be. So this is going to be a little bit more, I guess, even keel balanced. Moody Tongue, you have the Orange Blossom Blonde. This is also like the Bruges Sauce. This guy we talked about earlier. It's got a very forward orange presence to it. So think of that citrus character being a lot more forward on this beer, along with having all those kind of fruitier compounds and spicier compounds we talked about in the other Belgian beer. Dora, the Doradom, the Straight Dom, is Spain, and so this is your gluten-free option. So you guys that don't like grain because of the gluten proteins, this is actually a pretty good one. It tastes like a pretty standard German Pilsner. They have a special way they use centrifuge to basically remove the glutens post-fermentation, so it tastes like an actual real beer rather than most gluten-free options that are out there now. Scrimshaw, one of the best made pilsners, German style pilsners made in America, Northern California. I like this one quite a bit because it has a lot of these classic flavors you like in a German pilsner, but it's cheaper because it's made in America. You don't have to import it, and also it's fresher because it has less travel distance to go. Einger Brauweiss, very common kind of flavor whenever it comes to German wheat beers. Banana, clove. The wheat gives it a little bit more of a pillowy texture, a little bit more roundness to it. Not very bitter at all. Finishes almost minty with hints of vanilla and bubblegum. Soda pop here. This is a cola from Baladin, so non-alcoholic. We use this brewery quite a bit for beers from Rome, Italy. We don't have either beers in right now, but we do have the soda pop. So we have a line of these, non-alcoholic and all natural ingredients. So it's probably healthier than your traditional cola. Moving on, we have the Celebrator Doppelbock. Very malt forward. Doppelbocks are one of the most malt forward types of beers that are kind of out there. So it's going to be big on this toffee, caramel, toasted nutness. Thank you guys. Have a night. This is my favorite Doppelbock that I've ever had. A little bit more toasty, a little bit more peppery going forward. Almost has small suggestions, maybe red wine or port wine. So I like those. It's not very strong, but it's just there if you kind of pay attention. This member is only a big bowl, 13% Imperial Stout, made with some of the ingredients you're used to finding in banana splits. Don't be afraid of the banana, the strawberry, all this kind of flavors that we list here. The Imperial Stout is full of coffee, chocolate, and bourbon barrel characters. You got the vanillas, the caramels, the coconut, the toasted oak. That's going to cover up a lot of that extra fruitiness and leave them relegated to almost like more subtle kind of fruitiness in the back. And finishing up with my favorite triple of all time. This is Triple Carmelie, brewed in the Abbey style. Again, a secular brewing company. A little bit floral on the front end. Finish is kind of spicy, a little bit on the winey side. But it's got that light fruit profile, light spice profile, and deceptively smooth. This beer is something that can really get you trouble because it's super flavorful, super easy to drink, and it's easy to shovel down 2 or 3 of these, even though they clock in almost 9% alcohol.